Hi there. My name is Lindy Carter, and I am the instructor for the Grief Doula Specialist Certification course for International Doula Life Movement. I just wanted to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about myself and about the course as well. I am a registered nurse and a board certified nurse coach specializing in loss and grief, and I have my own coaching practice. Plus, I also am a certified end of life doula and a certified grief doula. And I've been teaching this course, well, I guess it was just this year, started earlier in 2022, and I'm gonna be expanding the course next year. Right now, currently the course is, for this year, it was an 8-week class. We're gonna be expanding the class to 12 weeks for next year and adding some content, that I will tell you about in a few minutes, but I just wanted to let you know what the course is about. Basically, it's, designed to equip you to, support your clients as a doula or in any kind of end of life work you're doing, any kind of grief work, to support other people. You learn kind of the basics about grief and loss, what kinds of losses there are, what causes grief in the first place, different kinds of grief, how to manage those different kinds of grief. We go over different background and history and theorists. There's each week we have either a quiz or an exercise of some kind. Sometimes we do exercises in class, and so basically you're learning how to help other people manage grief. But in the course of it, you learn about how to manage your own grief as well. So the course is really targeted towards helping you to help others grieve and support your clients or even people in your personal life. But it also could be helpful for yourself to lead some of that information to, if you're going through something yourself with regarding a loss and a grief process. And at the end of the course, we do case studies. There are case studies that I had written that are based on people that I had worked with, either in hospice or end of life work. And those are presented in class. They're pretty straightforward and simple, but that's one of the requirements as well for the class. Um, and there's a final exam, which is also pretty straightforward. So I try not to make things too difficult, but I want to make sure that you really feel like you have learned what you came there to learn and needed to. And I want you to feel at the end of it like you are equipped to support people and that you do know a lot more about grief and the grief process than when you first started out. So just to tell you a little bit about what's being added to it, I am going to be expanding the module that's on traumatic grief. So that really covers mainly any kind of accidental um, deaths, through obviously, any sudden or traumatic deaths through an accident, a suicide, a homicide, a natural disaster, anything of that nature that happens very suddenly and has some traumatic aspects and components to it, because that kind of grief is different. It's still grief, but it's just that has different things attached to it, and people go through that differently. And then also be expanding the module on coping with grief and supporting others in that process. And then also the types of grief and loss. We're going to get a little bit more in depth about that. So I'll be expanding that module as well, adding content to it. And then our two new modules are going to be two brand new ones. What's happening is I'm splitting out some of this information was presented, together in the same week, and I'm kind of splitting things out so that each of these subjects has their own, 2-hour class that's devoted to it, with whatever, like I said, exercises or quizzes or exams or whatever attached to that to kind of test your knowledge or to get you to kind of look deeper into some of the things that we talked about. So the two new modules are going to be one on pet loss, because that also is a different experience, but a very, important one, and one that is very, very impactful for many, many people. And also pediatric loss. And then when I say pediatric, I mean that's going to cover, I'm going to have another teacher actually coming to teach that, which is what's the same case. We do have one module in the course right now that's devoted to meditation, how to find pathways through grief through meditation. And there's a nurse coach a colleague and friend of mine who does that class. She comes in and that's her specialty. She's a nurse coach who works with her clients at meditation and creates her own meditations and has created some things, specifically for us, for people who do end of life work. And she's really wonderful. So I'm going to be doing the same thing with the pediatric module. I'll be bringing in another teacher who has much more expertise and background in that than I do. And she's going to be talking about, how children grieve and when they lose somebody important to them, and then they have that impact in their life, but then also how others grieve and react to the death of, like lots of times an illness, if there's a long-term illness or an accident or something sudden, the death of a child. And that means, parents, siblings, grandparents, other people, friends, just how that grief experience can be and how to support people who are going through that. Because again, it is unique. And the bottom line really that I talk about throughout this whole course is that grief is unique, period. I mean, depending on the person, depending on what the loss is, depending on your relationship to that person or whatever situation or thing that was lost that you're grieving over. It depends on the time in your life, what's going on around you in the world, just all different things impact, each time that you suffer a loss. So all of these situations and experiences are unique. And so we talk a lot about that and about how you handle that if, when you walk into circumstances that as a doula or any kind of end of life worker, that you are there to support people and, how you can deal with these different situations. And then also resources to go to if you don't have those things right at the ready for yourself, if it's a situation you've never dealt with before. So we talk a lot about different resources and books and podcasts and different things that are available to help support you as you do this work. So that's just a little bit about the course. You do not have to be certified as an end-of-life doula to take the class. It's really open to anybody. However, if you want to become an end-of-life doula, I usually suggest you take that course first, and also our life planning course, and then the grief class. Those are kind of our basic ones. Not that you can't take the grief class first if you're already a doula and you want to expand your knowledge. It's really, like I said, it's open to anyone. I've had people in the class who wanted to do hospice work or hospice volunteer work, and so they took the grief class because they wanted to be better equipped to be able to support people doing that work. So it really is just to learn, like I said, more about grief for yourself, for others, and how to support and go through that process. So I would love to have anybody on board for that class. We're going to hopefully be running 3 classes in 2023. Like I said, they'll be 12 weeks each. And I look forward to seeing some new faces there and in our other courses. And I just thank you very much for being interested in this work, and also most particularly being interested in gaining some training through International Doula Life Movement. Thank you so much.